Well, good evening and welcome to PJNet Live on Saturday night. And it never is a bad night to encounter Wild Bill for America. It's always a good night. And we have from his bunker somewhere in a secured area in Central Florida near Daytona Beach, we have Wild Bill standing by. And let's bring him on board. Wild Bill, you have been traveling and we've got a lot of catching up to do. You want to tell us briefly how we did up at Intellectual Frog Legs and so forth?
That was a great trip. I went north, way up north to Nashville.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, once you cross the Florida border into Georgia, you're back down south again. I'm sure you know how that works. But
I do.
Anyway, yeah. Oh, we had a great barbecue up in Nashville. Jodan Gorman. I got to meet, excuse me, one of my favorite, and actually my favorite political cartoonist, Antonio Branco.
Mm-hmm.
You see his work all over the place. The guy is absolutely brilliant. He came in from Washington State to be with us. And as always happens at these events, I met some of the finest people in America. Jodan gave an awards plaque to a senior citizen, retired military, and he and I got to visit. And it turns out we were on the same deployment in the Indian Ocean following the carrier Constellation. He was on the cruiser Sterret and I was on the destroyer the Morton, so we were shipmates. So we swapped some stories. We got to visit Africa and Australia, and then some really just great places. Those were some of the first adventures of my young adult life, and man, got me off to a good start. And I tell you, Coach, now that we have a decent commander-in-chief, mm-hmm. I'm glad I can once again recommend that young men consider mm-hmm. joining the military to get them off to a good start.
And we need some good young men because we have the world's finest. And women now, are serving. And yeah. it is proud. There was a time, as you said, that that time has passed. We have a brand new day now. So,
for sure.
But did you redeem yourself and get the prize that you came in second last year?
Coolest SOB on the net? No.
You didn't even place, did you?
I wasn't even nominated, but let's not make it any worse.
Okay. Well, moving on. Actually, you could be in a movie that we'll discuss later that was canceled. Okay.
Yeah. Was that The Hunt, the movie where liberals were going to hunt down Trump supporters like animals and shoot them? Yeah, that's a favorite fantasy of the liberal left, but it's not very realistic, because in order for liberals to actually hunt, they would have to have a measurable testosterone level. And with Bruce Jenner as the ultimate liberal man, I think we all know how that scenario would turn out.
Well,
besides that, there are a million conservative, masculine men out here who are heavily armed, and they are salivating at the idea of liberals coming after them with guns. Antifa would be just an appetizer. Mm-hmm. And after that, the main course would be Hollywood and the propaganda media. So you silly liberals, go ahead, just get it started and watch mm-hmm. what happens.
Yeah, bring it on. Hey, tell me about, I haven't heard this one. Elizabeth Warren is spouting off again.
Oh, and I was having such a good time, and you bring up Elizabeth Warren.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, I was a lawman for 20 years. I wore the badge of deputy sheriff and for a short while as a U.S. Marshal. Well, Elizabeth Warren and her drive to be president is resurrecting the old lie that Michael Brown was murdered by a white racist police officer. You remember the hands up, don't shoot?
Mm-hmm.
That it was a big lie. Michael Brown, if you remember, was a great big thug criminal. He robbed a convenience store. And then later, when he was confronted by a cop, he attacked the cop. He broke a bone in the cop's face and was trying to get the cop's gun when he was shot. Mm-hmm. Well, the liberal lie, Barack Obama and his minions started the lie that Michael Brown was trying to surrender. He had his hands up saying, "Don't shoot," when he was fatally shot. Turns out the investigation showed that was an absolute pile of horse pucky. But Elizabeth Warren, desperate to be president, will say anything. Well, she already has a documented track record of lying. And Pocahontas can no longer claim that she's an Indian, so now she's going to stir up hatred against police officers as a way of motivating her base. What does that tell you about her base? So anyway, I've been on the warpath about that. Barack Obama started this nonsense. I think it started back with the Trayvon Martin incident here in Florida, which happened like about 20 miles from my house. Trayvon Martin was a great big 6-foot-tall thug who was caught prowling around homes on a dark, rainy night by a night watchman. And he attacked the night watchman and was pounding the man's head on the sidewalk when the night watchman pulled a gun and shot him dead. Trayvon Martin was portrayed in the media as just a poor little black boy brutally murdered by a white racist. And Barack Obama got on board with that and launched the nationwide Disrespect Our Cops movement. And I tell you, violence against police officers has skyrocketed. So as a former cop, I am outraged that Elizabeth Warren would continue to stoke the fires of police assault in this country. You know, ICE officers were shot at a few days ago, and 6 Philadelphia police officers were shot in an incident just yesterday or the day before. And how many of our police officers have been assassinated since Obama started the Trayvon Martin and Michael Brown nonsense, lying about American law enforcement officers? It's sickening. It's sickening.
And it was kind of is it the new normal now? I mean, is this what the world's come to? It seems like, from conception to working as a police officer on the beat, life just has no value.
It has come to fruition. They planted the seeds, and now the seeds are sprouting. Disrespect for American law enforcement officers is rising all over the country, and it has become cool to fight the cops. And if the cops have to shoot somebody, hey, let's riot. Go break store windows and get us a whole bunch of new expensive sneakers and color TVs. So it's a nasty, nasty thing, and the Democrats are fully responsible for it. This is 100% their doing. They have chosen to pander to criminals over law enforcement. Well, makes sense because criminals do tend to vote Democrat. So the American people need to flat out say no to the Democrat Party and just stop voting for them. It's the only way that we're ever going to clean that place up.
Well, that's on a national scale, and it's a sad commentary, but I was watching Facebook today, and you see a lot of good stuff, but you posted a meme of a picture of some Jews in a Nazi concentration camp.
I sure did.
And all hell broke loose.
Well, the Jews were behind the barbed wire at the Nazi concentration camp wearing their striped uniforms. And this picture, the title of it said, "This is why we will not allow the Democrats to take our guns." Well, one particular little liberal in particular, Robin, got on. She posted one of those fake pictures of the children in the cage that they were using to accuse Trump of caging children at the border, and people lit into her. And I told her, I said, Robin, I said, you whine about children being put in a cage at the border, but what about the children who are in the garbage cans at Planned Parenthood? Until you have the moral decency to speak out about that, there is nobody on my Facebook page that gives a rat's patoot about what you say. So that was basically my answer to Robin the liberal, and I didn't bother posting anymore. I just let my piranha-style friends have at her, and I've been enjoying that all day.
It's probably still going on. I bet if I logged in.
I don't know if Robin came back on or not. She seemed to have disappeared. She came out, she spit her venom, and then ran away. Geez,
Well, they
probably
pound
might
the
be an
drum,
episode. I don't know.
and it seems as if they have a voracious appetite for whatever mantra is being served up by the Democratic leadership. And this notion, I mean, she was talking about children in cages. When presented with the facts, they just withdraw, I guess. I mean, I don't know how to
Well, they
fix
just
this.
ignore it.
I don't know how to fix it.
They don't. They really don't care about the facts. For instance, in this red flag gun laws, where they want to confiscate all the guns. Everybody knows that it will do nothing to curb crime. In fact, even the political hacks who are crying for gun confiscation, they know full well that crime will skyrocket if their policies are ever implemented. This is not about crime control or gun control. It's about controlling the American people. And Robin, she was just spewing the liberal mantra that her liberal masters had ordered her to repeat over and over ad nauseum. During the Obama years, they used to call conservatives mind-numbed robots.
Mm-hmm.
Well, today we're definitely seeing who the mind-numbed robots are, and it's all of these liberals, all these flaming liberals, who simply spew the liberal talking points without putting any thought into the issues at all.
Totally detached from
By the way,
reality.
you know why we call them flaming liberals?
You told me one time, but I've forgotten.
It's because we know their future.
Ah, good one. Touche. It is totally detached from reality. I mean, I could debate the merits, of a different view, a different vision for what America is. Depending if you're a bleeding heart liberal and want to give away the money, and I get all that. Charity, but another example, Tlaib and Omar spew their hatred.
They do.
And openly call for a boycott of one of the most industrious, productive countries on that side of the globe. And then they're indignant that Israel would do what?
Israel banned them.
Yeah.
Those hate mongers wanted to go to Israel, and Israel, after careful consideration, said, "No, we're not going to let you in our country." And I fully support that. Those two Democrat flaming liberals, capital F on the flaming, are absolute haters of Israel and the Jewish people. They've posted horrible things on their sites. They schmooze with terrorists, and they were going over there to stir up trouble. I think they would have gleefully instigated violence against the Israeli Defense Forces. So Mr. Netanyahu was absolutely right to say no way. In fact, Mr. Netanyahu may have actually saved lives by banning those two hate mongers. And
yeah, they took on the wrong Marine on that one.
Yeah, it would have been better if he'd let them in and then arrested them for instigating violence. But can't have everything.
Interesting point. California now, back to the United States, offers free community college. Shall we move to California?
Oh, California, the state that is so deep in debt they can't even pay the interest on the loans. Yeah, they need to just give away more freebies, digging themselves deeper and deeper into debt. Yeah, I saw that. Gavin Newsom, the homosexual governor, is now declaring that community colleges will be free. I'm sorry, free for the students, but the working men and women of California will be forced to pay the tuition out of their own pocket. So,
I thought the professors and the administrators were going to work for free. Wasn't that how they was going to pay for it?
They should, man. Do 10 days of them working for free, that'd be the end of socialism in California. But that would be good medicine to cure what's happening to California. But it seems to me like paying for your education has always been an important part of the education process. Learning to pull your own weight, learning the value of an education. people that are given things for free tend to treat them like that's what it's worth. It's worth nothing. And man, I tell you, the way
Well,
these
it goes
Go ahead.
beyond that, Bill, because secondly, but that's an important point. But secondly, anything that is subsidized tends to go up in price. Well, guess what happened to the cost of education when you start subsidizing it?
Yes, that's a good point. It's skyrocketed. You
Absolutely.
know, from what
And
college tuition was in the 60s, it is now 1,000 times more. And most of it is just bloat. It's bloat because the universities have learned how to gouge the U.S. government, and the government seems to enjoy being gouged. And that is how we run into such terrible financial troubles.
you don't think they're gaming the system, you
My
reckon?
dad used to call these guys educated idiots. You know,
Hmm.
just because they have a piece of paper on the wall does not mean they have any common sense at all.
Well,
Or
and lastly, when there's such an abundance, supply and demand are axioms that are always in effect, almost like gravity. So now we're turning out college degrees like sausages. Guess what the value of a college degree is?
I'm sure it has plummeted.
It
You
has.
know what's more valuable than a college degree nowadays? A certificate from a trade school.
Hmm.
If parents really care about their students, they will avoid these colleges and universities until us conservatives go in there and clean them out. As soon as they come after us with guns, we'll get started cleaning up the universities. But if the parents really do care about their children, send them off to a good trade school. Let them learn computers, welding, construction, mechanics. You know, uh, and of course, there are some degrees that are still worthwhile. Engineering degrees, um, things like that. But man, the mandatory social justice courses that they require
Hmm.
students to go through nowadays is nothing but low moral, godless brainwashing. So
You bet.
I'm really pushing for the trade schools. Get an education that'll be worth something. And those guys will have the money in their paychecks to pay their student loans.
Hmm. Hmm.
A lot of the college students, they whine that they're so deep in debt and they can't get a job. Wah, wah, wah. Pacifiers. I think I'm going to invest in pacifiers.
There you go. Last Monday, Casper for Colorado is our weekly guest, and he told me that Colorado is continuing down this journey of well, it's too bad because it's a wonderful state. I've been there,
Yeah,
great
I've
people,
lived there for 30
but
years.
but they have already implemented red flag laws, and it's not working. They're smoking the wacky weed. It's not working. Everything that doesn't work tends to get run up a flagpole. So now we've got talk about red flag gun laws, and even a champion of conservatism, Dan Crenshaw, got himself in trouble entertaining the idea.
I saw that. And Dan Crenshaw is a man worthy of our respect, but he does not understand the situation. I was a Colorado law enforcement officer for most of my career. And I'll tell you right now, the upright, honest law enforcement officers out there are not going to be comfortable with these red flag laws.
Hmm.
You cannot seize a person's property without having probable cause, due process. And to seize somebody's guns just on an anonymous tip is absolutely a violation of constitutional rights. And a lot of people don't know this, but the conversation that goes on between officers during their duty shift is often something like this. Well, can we do that legally? How does that fit?
Hmm.
Does it come under the laws of search and seizure? Yes or no? And quite often the answer is, no, we better not do that. Or, no, you are not going to do that because you'd be violating the rights of your neighbor, blah, blah, blah. Well, let me tell you something. I bet there are Colorado sheriffs who are saying, no way are my guys going to go beat on a door and take somebody's property without having proper authorization, which would be a warrant signed by a judge.
Hmm.
So to the people in the red flag states, if the cops come knocking on your door, my advice is do not open the door. Tell them through the door, if you want my guns, come back with a warrant signed by a judge. That is what the Constitution requires.
Hmm.
And by way of common sense here, if the cops bust in, for crying out loud, don't go for your gun. They are not there to shoot you. Don't make them shoot you. This is an issue that will be settled in the courts, and if you play your cards right, you and your family just might come out of it with a really nice cash settlement. So,
yeah, you can repay your student loans with that.
Where they can see them, let them take the guns, and then sue the pants off them.
There you go. I hadn't been to a movie in a while. Can't go to the Hunt movie. Maybe I can rent one. How about Unplanned? They're out of it.
Unplanned. The movie that is single-handedly devastating Planned Parenthood. I love it. I don't know if you can still see it in the theaters. The liberal machine did their best to shut that movie down in America. But according to, I think it was WorldNet Daily, Unplanned is now the #1 DVD rental in America. And I suggested, I did a video for the Constitution Party today suggesting home parties for Constitution Party and to bring back the neighborhood block party. I'm telling people to stretch out a sheet up against the neighbor's wall and show Unplanned for the whole neighborhood to see. I'd like to see you with your fancy trailer.
Travel around showing I was going to say, you're punching my buttons now. You know,
city parks, anywhere you can. Park it in the grocery store parking lot and show Unplanned. That would be a great ministry, actually. I have not seen the movie myself, but I guess people come out of that movie just weeping. Just weeping. It sounds like
and they should.
A valuable tool with which to shut down the American Holocaust.
We're running a little short on time. I would love to just continue. Let me just say briefly, I was at the North Carolina Christian Writers Conference, but it wasn't limited to writers. Well, writers who write screenplays for movies. And Cecil Stokes was there, October Baby, if you know that one. He's produced hundreds of movies, and he was sharing, and he wasn't the only one, of how we have to use our voices in the media. And there's ways to stay under the radar. And this is how the liberals creeped in. They didn't just show up and win. They took it little bite by bite. It took decades. Yeah. Well, that same process can work the other way. We can take it, but we got to have these operatives inside of the media. Very interesting. And I don't have enough time to go into all that. I wish I did. But
Coach, it's the law of sowing and reaping. It's biblical. Mm-hmm. Whatever seeds you plant is the crop you're going to reap. And we need to plant all of those seeds throughout our society and churches and schools and governments. Plant the seeds, and sooner or later we will get a crop.
I had, football season's coming up, Bill, and I had this idea, and it was just sparked recently. Mm-hmm. I have stopped watching the NFL.
I have too.
I love football. I love it. It means so much in my life. It's not just entertainment. It's about life. But I am, maybe there's a chance that I would watch an NFL game if they played it in China.
Are you thinking Hong Kong?
Perhaps.
Well, before we get on Hong Kong, let me shame the Atlanta Falcons. Shame on you guys for hosting Drag Queen Story Hour for America's youngest children.
Mm-hmm.
You despicable characters. You have just disgraced yourselves in the eyes of the American people, starting with Colin Kaepernick, and now you are dredging the bottom of the barrel by giving your time and money to sexual perverts who are stalking our children.
Bill, I think we are watching a downward spiral, and it's going to be a spectacle. I'm going to make a prediction. Now, first of all, the NFL is going to just keep doubling down and tripling down. One of their biggest advertisers has been Gillette. I am not buying any more Gillette stuff. Okay,
right guard, hit, yeah.
Right guard works just as well. Okay, I'm done. And now I still have some Gillette razors. I will continue to use those until they're used up. But then I'm going to find something else, or I'll grow a beard. Something. I'm not buying their stuff. They made their decision. I made mine.
Yep, that's called voting with your dollars, and
Mhm.
I support. This is where Sean Hannity disagrees with me. He says no American company should be boycotted, but I say no. He's wrong. We only get to cast our vote every
Mhm.
couple of years when the election cycle comes around, but every day we can vote with our dollars by either supporting a good company or withholding our dollars from a bad company. That's
I-
what you're doing with Gillette. That's what I'm doing
mhm.
also. And
Every purchase is a vote. Every purchase is also an act of Christian stewardship. We need to be
stewardship,
conscious of our spending
very
because
good.
you are voting. Now, this is kind of a black hole because companies are interconnected and all that, and after a while you can't go anywhere because I don't go to Target, no more Nike, no more Gillette, and the list will go on and on until every company, it seems, is owned by somebody else. But
Yeah.
nonetheless, the NFL, just watch, Gillette will be advertising heavily. Many of their products are targeted at men, and they are going to use the NFL as their platform, not only to sell their products, but to sell their moral sewage.
Yeah.
Watch.
And it looks like the NFL will go along with it, but both the NFL and Gillette have been hit hard because a lot of us have been voting with our dollars.
There you
And I
go.
call out the men who are still taking their sons to NFL games.
Hmm.
Where are your priorities, guys?
Hmm.
Is your little game more important than your country? Wake up, knock it off, stand for what's right. Let your kids see you as an example of standing up for righteousness.
Go to a
Not,
high school game. Go to a college game. I love the
yeah,
game. I really do. But I'm not. No, not doing it. All right. Well, we're running low on time. What's the future for Wild Bill for America? I watch your videos and I'm always enthralled with them. But what's coming up on your calendar?
well, I'm still working Faith Riders. We've got the GoFundMe page set up where we're going to be launching an outreach to American veterans, trying to prevent some of the suicides that are just plaguing our military veterans. And I'm still with the Constitution Party. In fact, I met with a gentleman just yesterday who wants to run for Congress, and he's looking for the Constitution Party to back him.
Hmm.
So I'm staying busy, keeping
Good.
my hand in, and I've been making some noise on the internet that I might toss my name in the ring in it for 2024
Yeah.
because I don't, Trump will be term limited out,
Mhm.
and I don't see anybody in the wings with the fighting spirit necessary to take on the political hacks of Washington, D.C. Mike Pence is a good man, but he just does not have the bare knuckle brawler attitude that Trump has. And I think that attitude of Trump has made all the difference. He's been a game changer. His bull in a china shop attitude has given a lot of Americans hope that we just might clean up the deep state. But Trump's attitude and scrappiness must continue after his presidency. So if nobody else will step in there, I might throw my name in just for the fun of it.
Well, you're kind of bashful. You have to work on that between now and then. Um, and you'll still be ugly. You'll still just keep your hat on it. It helps the overall mystique of Wild Bill. Well, Bill, listen, you're a good guy, and we need more good guys. And let's, folks, if you're not following Bill on Facebook, you need to find him because that is where he puts a lot of the links that you can't easily put on YouTube. He is a YouTube sensation. If you're not subscribed to his channel, you're missing out. I'm not only subscribed. You, Bill, are the only channel I've subscribed to that the little bell tells me you just did a video. And I'll usually stop what I'm doing. You pack more in 3 minutes than I could in half an hour. They're hard hitting, they're entertaining, and they're correct. So check out Wild Bill's YouTube channel. Check him out on Facebook. Hey, Bill, you're a wonderful guy. Appreciate you taking time out tonight. Appreciate you giving me the heads up that, hey, wake up, coach. Wake up.
Always a pleasure to be on your show. Thanks for having me.
All right, Bill. Appreciate you, brother. See you next Saturday. Okay, you heard it live on PJNet Live, Wild Bill for America. And, Wild Bill was traveling a couple weeks ago, and then a week ago I was traveling. So it's been a while since we've heard from Wild Bill. But we're back on track, folks. We hope that you will be here each and every Saturday night where you will hear the real and authentic Wild Bill for America right here on PJNet Live.